So in previous lecture, we discussed on structural evaluation of payment. The last part is left on one equipment to evaluate the payment. That we'll be discussing now. So this topic of payment evaluation was given as one of the seminar topic. So yesterday when I was taking seminar, so Purva, I think she is also in payment design. I think Purva has not joined. So Purva gave a presentation on payment evaluation. So I thought I'll throw some light on what she had presented. Not completely, but related to our uh, syllabus. I'll be covering one small part on ground penetrating radar and why this equipment is used and what is the advantage of this equipment compared to the other equipments on payment evaluation. So, as we are discussing, some of these equipments they are specifically mentioned in syllabus, like falling weight deflectometer is mentioned in previous lecture. We discussed on falling weight deflectometer, and there is a specific mention of BBD also. Okay, so BBD we discussed. Now today's class we will be discussing on GPR. So GPR stands for ground penetrating radar. So this is a non-destructive testing to evaluate the payment, the structural capacity of the payment. Okay, there are n number of application of this GPR. Okay, so it is one of the structural evaluation of payment. Now you can see this is how it looks. So it is vehicle mounted, so a dedicated vehicle is required. All the attachment of antenna, receiver, transducer, everything is embedded within the vehicle itself. Okay. So I'll be showing a small video clip of this GPR, how it works. Okay. Then we'll have a discussion on the same. You need not worry much about what is the working principle of this equipment. But a small procedure how it works will do for exam point of view. Okay, so I'll just show the video of the same. Okay, applications of GPR. So apart from payment evaluation, it is also used for geotechnical applications as well. Okay, so just go through this video.
Such as locating buried utilities, locating graves, fracture, joint and void detection, locating underground storage tanks, locating pretension tendons, bridge deck investigations, pavement investigations, and even more, as GPR is able to detect most of man-made objects. GPR is a non-destructive geophysical electromagnetic technique that uses high-frequency radio waves to transmit into the ground. The transmitted energy is reflected from objects with different dielectric properties. GPR antenna then receives the reflected waves and stores them in the digital control unit. Results of GPR data are typically enhanced with the use of specific software and interpreted accurately to assess feature of interest. Ground penetrating radar is a rapid technique for locating utilities such as PVC and metal pipes, cables, fuel and water lines. Most utilities provide the electric contrast needed and are easily found with the use of GPR. The data can be viewed in the field as being acquired. Depending on the data quality, data processing might not be necessary since utilities might be observed immediately. Locating unmarked or improperly marked graves is usually challenged.
This is
However,
one of the
GPR
application
works efficiently for
not
mapping
related to
unmarked
us.
graves and historical burials. Situations to detect fracture, joint, fold, and void.
Yeah, this is
Studying the
something to
location
do
and
with
characteristics of
concrete
such
payments.
zones is highly important for the future actions to prevent any damage. Completed, GPR results provide an accurate mapping of a void. Also, it is frequently possible to determine contents of a void. GPR is a useful technique to locate underground storage tanks non-destructively. Made of metal or any other material that has different electric properties than the surrounding subsurface soil or rock, underground storage tanks can be easily identified and mapped. In case
I'll
if
be
tank
directly
was
going to
removed,
payment evaluation. As I said, it has a
it
wide application.
results. GPR provides quick and efficient pavement assessment. For this survey, both ground-coupled and air-launched antenna are deployed. Air-launched GPR antenna is typically used to operate at highway speeds and allow inspections to happen without disrupting traffic. The data collected by the GPR system might be used to estimate overall condition of pavements, pavement layer thickness, moisture content, locations of debonding overlay, damaged concrete. It is also an effective method to locate joints and sections where voids may have developed under reinforcing concrete slabs. Let us summarize the strengths of GPR.
Okay. Uh, as you saw in the video that it has a wide application uh, and most widely used in payment evaluation as well. Okay. I'll just go to, yeah. So this is the actual GPR used for road evaluation. You could see a person who with a small equipment wherein it can be also used, but not specifically for highways. So this vehicle is particularly used for highway because it can move or take the data at a speed of 50 mph. Okay, miles per hour, 50 miles per hour. So that is the speed at which you can acquire the data from GPR vehicles or equipment. Okay, so how exactly it works? We'll briefly discuss on this. Okay, this is how the components are there in GPR. It has a transmitting and receiving unit, and control unit, and display unit, which are mounted in the vehicle, and power supplies are there. Okay, so working principle, an electromagnetic pulse is sent through the antenna, which is there within the vehicle, penetrating into the layers or the material. Okay, a portion of energy is reflected back to the antenna. Okay, so once electromagnetic waves are sent from the antenna, and their portion of the energy is reflected back to the antenna within an interface between materials, and similar dielectric constant is encountered. So this is how the flow chart is there. Okay, so it has a control unit, data display unit, and data storage unit. And this is the transmitter antenna wherein the electromagnetic waves or a pulse are sent to the material. Okay, and portion of it will be reflected back, and a receiver antenna will be there. Okay, so in this process we can analyze what is there within the payment surface. Okay, so it is very simple procedure to understand with respect to this flow chart. Fine. Okay, so so how this data acquisition and interpretation is done is, it uses high frequency radio waves through the antennas and transmits that to the ground, what you saw on that flow chart. Okay, so these waves hit the buried object or the objects in that particular pavement. Okay, then the receiving antenna records the variation reflected return signals. Okay, so depth of GPR is limited to the electrical conductivity. It depends on the electric conductivity of the ground, and transmitted frequency, and radiated power. So it depends on all these parameters, how the radio frequency are sent and how they are received back. And the depth can be calculated. You need not worry much about this equation. So the depth is calculated using this relation 5.9 T divided by root of ER. So ER is nothing but the dielectric constant of subsurface material. So it depends on the conductivity of the material as well. So this is not required, only the procedure, if you remember, that is good enough. So this is the data result of the GPR how it records. So you can see on the right side of the slide, you can see the different payment layers. So different payment layers will be having different material characterization. So with the help of radio waves, you can bifurcate these layers. Okay. So this is represented by alpha, the bituminous layer. Okay. And this is how we get the frequency of that, indicating there is a pavement or the bituminous layer. Here it is a base layer, and it can also detect any faults in the base layer. Okay, so this is the application of GPR. Okay, so I'll be sending you a short what you say uh, procedure of how it collects the data and all, with 2 to 3 slides. I'll be sending that. That should be more than sufficient. So GPR, or either it is falling weight deflectometer or it is BBD, they'll be asking you for a short note on the procedural aspects, how these tests are conducted for payment evaluation. So if you write brief procedure on how these equipment works, that should be more than sufficient. Okay, so this completes your module 3 on payment evaluation of flexible payment. So far we discussed on what are the failures and how they are caused, and what are the remedial steps to incur those failures. And then we discussed on functional evaluation part with inspection of payment, visual inspection. Then we discussed on roughness equipment, particularly with Merlin equipment. Then we gone through uh, bump integrator. Okay. Then we discussed on structural evaluation part with BBD. It is very important, BBD procedure, how it is carried out and how the readings are taken, BBD. And then we discussed on the GPR. Okay, so this completes whole module 3. Last little one concept is there on methods on airfield payment. So need not worry about those methods. I'll be sending you only the list of methods. If you just go through the list of methods, that is sufficient. Okay, so we'll just start with the next module, with fifth module, as I was discussing in previous class. So we'll go through fifth module. Fourth module, after that I'll be coming with the fourth module. Okay, so yeah, so we have gone through all these concepts. Okay, so structural evaluation, BBD, falling weight deflectometer, and GPR method. So just the procedures of these, how they work, and what are the applications of the same can be written. Okay, so design factors of runway payments. Design factors are one and the same. What we use for factors like what we discussed with the design wheel load, design life, the same thing is there. Okay, these design methods of airfield payment I'll be sending in WhatsApp group as a notes for you. Okay, so problems on the above is most uh, in many times problem on BBD is asked. Okay, I'll be solving a problem on BBD. I'll be recording a video and I'll be sharing that as well. Okay, need not worry about that. And for your first internals, you have module 1 with full content, and module 2 with uh, uh, only. Okay, this comes in module 1 itself, Buzigny's theory and all. So module 2, I'll be covering with design wheel load, contact pressure, relation between tire pressure and contact pressure, which I'll be sharing the notes. Okay. So you just go through the design factors with respect to the design wheel load, contact pressure, tire pressure, relation between that. Okay. The first line of your module 2, I'll be keeping for your first internal. If you have any queries, you can ask me. So remaining part I'll be keeping it for your internal too. Okay. Any doubts you have? Okay. So now I'll be starting with module 5 with concrete payment. Okay. Fine. Now we'll be discussing with initial part of module 5, that is failures found in rigid payment. We'll try to understand what are the different types of failures in rigid payment. And now I am telling you there are number of failures, more than hundreds of failures which are caused on rigid payment, but we'll be only concentrating on major failures. Okay. So major failures on rigid payment, the same we have done with the flexible payments as well. So we have done only on major failures which are caused on flexible payment. The same will be dealing with the rigid payments as well. Okay. So in module 5 it is quite simple. uh, Module 5 will be understanding on failures on rigid payment, why they are caused, and what are the remedial aspects of these failures, how exactly these failures are rectified. uh, Similarly, what we discussed with the flexible payment and their failures. Okay, so in connection with that only we have this module 5. So module 3 we discussed in detail on evaluation part. Okay, what are the functional evaluation and what are the structural evaluation equipments used for that. So in rigid concrete payments or evaluation part, they are concentrated only on visual examination. So this visual examination or the functional evaluation of rigid payment is same as that of what you do in case of flexible payments. Okay, so it will be a repetition kind of thing. So I'll be not discussing that visual inspection again, that format what I discussed in previous lecture. So we'll start with the failures. So as it is mentioned here, the list, you can see the different types of failures most commonly found on rigid payments are joint spalling, faulting, polished aggregate, shrinkage cracking, pumping, punch out, linear cracking. So linear cracking in the form of transverse cracks are formed on concrete payments. Then we have durability cracking and corner break. So we will concentrate much on these 7 types of failures on rigid payment and where they are caused. Okay, so we'll start with the first uh, failure on rigid payment. So it is known as joint spalling. So in exam point of view, you will be asked with generally it will be asked. It will be not asked specifically. So most of the time, if you see the question papers, it will be asked with what are the different list the different types of rigid payment failures, and explain any 2 or 3 with line diagram. So you need to draw the line diagram for that, and you need to tell what how this failure is caused and why it is caused. Okay, and what are the probable remedies for the same. Okay, so we'll start with the joint spalling. So joint spalling, you can see in this picture. So there is a breakage of the edges of these joints or the slabs. Okay, so this is known as the joint spalling failure. Okay, now why this failure is caused? It is caused because of excessive compressive stress which is caused on the CC slabs. Okay, so you can see here excessive compressive stress causes deterioration of these joints. Okay, and this phenomena is known as spalling. Okay, and why it is caused? It is because of joint infiltration or growth of the pavement. Now what is growth of the pavement is there may be this slabs will be subjected to say variation in the temperature. Because of that they move apart and the compressive stress will be caused. Okay, so that's why the breakage of the joints may occur, or it may be because of the construction fault of because of weak concrete. Okay, and compressive stress is caused in variation in the temperature and because of high traffic. Okay, and when these joints are not maintained properly, and if these joints are not sealed properly, then there is a chance of any material which is incompressible. Okay, like grits, stone, pebbles which come in contact with these joints, and when there is a expansion of these joints, then there is a breakage of this joint. Okay, so this is known as spalling of joints in rigid pavement. Okay. So remedial measure in most of the failures in rigid pavements, the remedial or what you can say repair techniques is very rare. Okay. One of the major disadvantage of rigid pavement is complete removal of the slab. Reconstruction is only the remedial measure. Okay, apart from maintaining the joints, sealing of joints, we don't have any remedial measure. Okay, you can see here the point. The joint spell can be avoided by using good construction techniques. That's it. Okay, by sealing the joints. If you find these kinds of joints on rigid pavement, so it will propagate. After some time, these edge break will grow and it will deteriorate the whole pavement. Okay, so only thing is you remove this particular panel, you cut this panel and reconstruct that joint, and that is also a very tedious process in maintaining those particular joints. Okay, then next we have faulting in rigid pavement. Okay, so you can see in the picture there is a difference in the level of one slab with the other slab. So this is known as faulting. Okay, so it may be caused because of settlement of one slab with respect to the another slab because of the soft foundation. Okay, so when there is a settlement of one slab and there is a difference in the level, that is known as faulting. Okay, so this is caused also because of mud pumping. So mud pumping is also one of the major failure in the rigid pavement, which I'll be discussing in the coming slides. Okay, and it is also caused due to temperature changes and moisture changes below the slabs. Okay, so this is the picture of faulting in the rigid pavement, most commonly found. Polished aggregate in rigid pavements. So you must have seen this most common failure on rigid pavement, particularly when you go on Congress Road, you find this kind of distress all over the surface of your white topping pavement, wherein you find polished aggregates. It is very clearly evident on the surface of the pavement. Now, this uh, failure is caused because of repeated traffic application. Okay, which leads to polished aggregates. You don't get adequate resistance or friction between the tire and the pavement layer. Okay, and you don't have any remedial measure for this. You need to completely reconstruct the pavement. Okay, shrinkage cracking in rigid pavement. So you find a hairline crack. It is not that clear in this picture. You find the hairline crack. So these are found during after immediately after concreting is done on the rigid pavement, and these cracks are less than 2 meter in length. Okay, so and they do not cross the entire slab, unlike your longitudinal or transfer cracks. Okay, the setting and curing process of the concrete slab results in this such cracks. As I told, these cracks are formed immediately after the concreting is done, after initial setting time of the cement. In that process, these initial shrinkage cracks are formed. Okay, now why these are caused is because of higher evaporation of water. Okay, you don't practice the construction practice, or the curing practice is not done appropriately, these cracks are formed. Okay. Okay, mud pumping. Mud pumping is most dangerous failure found in a rigid pavement. Now, how we can detect the mud pumping is, you can find the stains on the CC slab panel. You find these mud water stain. Okay, so this is caused because of mud pumping. What happens is, the foundation, when it comes in contact with the moisture or water, and there is a repeated application of load on this panels of the slab, now there will be a pressure onto the below layers, and the water or mud water eases out through the uh, what you say, the joints. Okay, and the water comes out of these particular joints, and you find the stains on the CC slab. Okay, and there is no support on the below layer. Okay, so there will be no support on the below layer. This is one of the major failure found in rigid pavement. Okay. So next in, we have the corner breaks in rigid pavements. Okay, you can see in this picture, you find a lot of breaks. Uh, these breaks are because you don't find the underlying support. Okay, uh, it may be because of the mud pumping as well. Mud pumping, there will be a gap below the CC slab. Okay, because of that, once the heavy loads are moving on the pavement surface, and it causes the breaks on the slab. Okay, that's why we find the corner breaks on the rigid pavement. You can see here, these are the failures in rigid pavement which are caused due to mud pumping. When pumping completely removes the underlying support, there will be no support on below the slab, and when vehicles come on the surface of the pavement, and it leads to the corner cracks on the pavement. Okay, so as I told, no repair as such. The repair method is either complete replacement of the slab. Okay, full depth reconstruction is the only solution for this slab. Now I think we have finished with 40 minutes of our meeting. uh, okay, remaining failures and remaining concepts I'll be discussing in the next class. So for today, it will be sufficient. So we discussed on different types of failures. In coming class, we'll be discussing some more failures and what are the causes, and we'll be in detail studying about the joints. What are the different types of joints in module 5? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. 3 minutes are left for me. If you have any doubts regarding internals, you can just go through.
Sir, important question, sir.
Did you understand the class lecture?
Yes, sir.
Okay. As I told, BBD problem is remaining. That is very important. I'll be discussing about that problem. You need not worry about that. Apart from that, exam point of view, more than that, I have explained with the joints and all, with equipments. Okay, so it is very easy also to read and interesting also. Okay, so you can relate these concept with your real life. You have come across these failures, but we don't know exactly how they are measured and all. Any doubts are there?
No, sir.
No, no, sir.
Okay, thank you for attending.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you can leave the
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, see you. Bye.